In this video, we are going to look at the order of operations. Order of operations. Let's write that in. Order of operations. And what that means is that when you've got a sum or a calculation to do where you've got more than one part to it. So if you look at these three examples, we're not just doing one calculation, there are two calculations in each. And as soon as there is more than one calculation to be done, then we have an order in which they should be done. So if you looked at that and you weren't used to this, there probably would be an inclination to just work from left to right, because that's how we read. In the English language, we just read from left to right. So it would probably feel natural to do that. But in fact, we have to have this order that operations are done, because otherwise we could get two different answers. And of course, we are, in examples like this, we are looking for a particular answer. So let's try and make this clear. So by operations, all that means is some kind of calculation. So these are our four main operations: adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. And this is the order that they need to be done in. I'm going to just change colour to make it stand out. We always deal with brackets first. Now, there aren't any in these three examples, but we will go on to look at that. Second, we would deal with indices. So that's when you've got a power of something. And again, we'll come back and look at that. We then have division and multiplication. And they come together. They are a pair because they're the opposite of each other. And we can do them in either order, but they must come after the brackets and indices. So division and multiplication. And then finally, we have addition and subtraction. And again, because they are the opposites of each other, then we can do those in either order, but they must come after we have dealt with brackets, indices, and division and multiplication. So there we have it. There's our order of operations. And a nice, easy way to remember this is by using the initials BIDMAS, BIDMAS. Now, sadly, there are variations on this, which doesn't help matters. But I think if you stick to one acronym or one letter, one set of letters, then that's what you've got to do, and just try and relate it to what these different operations are. So BIDMAS. I have seen variations such as BODMAS or BOMDAS. And that's because these two are interchangeable and we can refer to indices in different ways. But I think to avoid complication, let's stick with this, BIDMAS. Okay, so let's go to our three problems. 6 plus 5 times 4. So you may naturally feel that you want to go from left to right, but no, in mathematical language, we follow the order. We've got no brackets, we have no indices, there are no powers. The first thing we come to is multiplication, and that comes before addition, so we must deal with this part of the problem first. I'm going to just make a little bit of room. So let's move those out of the way and maybe make it a bit smaller. So we've got two calculations to do, but according to our rules of order of operations, we must do multiplication first. So we can say, okay, that is going to lead us to 5 times 4, which is 20. So we're going to be left with 6 plus, because we haven't dealt with the addition yet, 20, because we have dealt with this 5 times 4 first. And now we're just left with addition, and we can add that together to make 26. Okay, if you feel like you want to have a go, pause the video, try out the second one using your order of operations and start when you're ready. If you're not feeling confident yet, no problem, just stick with me. Okay, so problem number 2, we've got 20 minus 10 divided by 5. And according to our order of operations, we must do the division before the subtraction, which is another word for minus. So we're going to start by looking at this bit. And 10 divided by 5 is going to give us 2. So the first part stays the same, 20 subtract, and then 10 divided by 5 gives us 2. 10 minus 2 or subtract 2 gives us 18. Okay, same again. If you want to have a go at number 3, pause the video, have a go, and then start again. So here we've got 4 plus 5 times 3. We're going to do the multiplication first, as in line with our order of operation. So we get 4 plus 5 times 3 is 15. Add those together and we get 19. So that's the principles of it. And there's some straightforward 2-stage calculations where we can apply the order of operations or BIDMAS rules. Let's have a look at some more. Now on here, we've got the inclusion of brackets. So I'm going to write up our acronym, BIDMAS. And in this first example, because we've got brackets, although we're doing a multiplication and addition, putting those brackets around the addition part of our sum means we deal with that first. That is our first consideration. So if I look at question 1, 2 times 6 plus 5, but the 6 plus 5 are in brackets, so I'm dealing with those first. That's going to give me, actually I'm going to write the problem out, 2 times 6 plus 5. And as I'm working through this, I'm going to just deal with one part at a time. And this is really good practice. So you just get used to, as calculations get more complicated, you're just breaking it down step by step. Okay, so we've got to deal with the brackets first. And I can see that 6 plus 5 makes 11. So I'm going to end up with 2 times 11. And 2 times 11 is 22. So if you're doing a calculation and you want the addition to become the first thing that's done, then we can put brackets around it and then it will be the first thing that's calculated because they take precedence over others. I think for this, I'm going to write again the rules of indices. And then moving over here, multiplication, addition, and finally subtraction. If you feel confident, pause the video and have a go. If not, just stick with me until you do feel ready. Number 3 is a bit more challenging. We've got an additional thing to think about there. So stay with me if you want to. Okay, let's have a look at question number 2. So question 2 is 3 multiplied by, and then in brackets we've got 8 plus 11. And because they're in brackets, I'm going to deal with them first. So I'm going to leave the 3 multiplied by as it was, and then I'm going to work out 11 plus 8 gives me 19. So I have now got to do 3 times 19. I'm going to do the calculations quite quickly, so pause if you need a bit of time to work that out. 3 times 19, 3 nines give me 27, carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 30, plus that 2, 57. And just here, I'll tell you another little tip if you're still working on your multiplication. 3 times 20 is probably easier to do. So if you thought of it as 3 times 20 is 60, but each one of those 20s is going to have 1 deducted from it because it's only 19. So you could think of it as 60 minus 3, which is 57. Please don't worry if that doesn't make complete sense to you. I'm just giving you a little tips along the way. All right, let's have a look at number 3. And I said that's just slightly different. So let's see why. Question 3. 6, and then immediately after that we've got in brackets 4 plus 2. And when you don't have a sign in between, brackets actually mean multiplication. This is saying I want you to multiply 6 by both of the numbers that are written inside of the brackets. And that's something we have to familiarize ourselves with. So I'm going to deal with the bracket part first, and I'm going to say 4 plus 2 is 6. And then when I write this sum without the brackets, it's going to be 6 multiplied by 6. So that may be something new to you. If you've got brackets with a number immediately in front of them, then you are to multiply the number outside of the brackets by the total inside the brackets. So we'd have 6 times 6, which is 36. Okay, let's try number 4. So we've got 12 brackets 3 plus 2. So what does this mean? It means we have to deal with the brackets first, and we have to remember if there is a 12 immediately outside of those brackets, once we've dealt with what's inside the brackets, we're multiplying them together. So 3 plus 2 gives us 5, and we are then left with 12 multiplied by 5. 12 multiplied by 5, well, we've got 2 lots of 5 is 10, 5 lots of 10 is 50, 50 plus 10 gives us 60. And while you're practicing this skill of using BIDMAS, use a calculator if you struggle with your sums, because I want your focus to be on the order of operation rather than the calculations themselves. It's good practice to do the calculations, but let yourself focus on the order of operations for this exercise. Okay, let's try the next. Remember to pause if you want to have a go. So question 5, we've got 20 minus, and then in brackets 6 minus 4. Okay. Now here the brackets aren't going to mean multiplication because we've got a sign outside telling us what we need to do. So let's have a go at this one. We've got in the brackets 6 minus 4, And 6 minus 4 is 2. So when the brackets are removed, we're going to have 20 minus 2, which equals 18. Okay. Question 6. 17 minus 2 minus 1. Going to deal with the brackets first. So we get 17 minus, we've got a sign outside so we can use that. 2 minus 1 is 1. So we have 17 minus 1 equals 16. I'm going to speed it up a little bit, but don't forget you can pause, replay as you like. Question 7. 4 plus 3 times 7. Okay, we have to deal with the brackets first. We've got an addition outside. So 3 times 7 is 21. So we get 4 plus 21 equals 25. I'm just going to go up to question 10. I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but I might pick out a couple that look more challenging. 13 plus 2 times 3. So we have to deal with the brackets first. So that's going to be 13 plus 2 times 3 is 6. And if we add 13 and 6, we will get 19. Question 9. 6 plus 15 divided by 3. What do we have to deal with first? We need to deal with the division before we can do the addition. So let's do that. So the 6 is left, and we're going to add something to that 6, and let's work out what it will be. 15 divided by 3. Well, 3 goes into 15 5 times. So that becomes a 5. We then have a sum of 6 plus 5, which is 11. One more. Question 10. 4 plus 21 divided by 7. So again, we need to do the division first. So we're going to have 4 plus, and let's work out what that is. 21 divided by 7. 7 goes into 21 3 times. So we get 4 plus 3, which equals 7. Okay, hopefully you're getting the hang of this. So let's have a look at one of the more complicated ones. Let's move on to question 16, where we've got 5 times 4 plus 3 minus 7. So here we've got 1, 2, 3 different signs, and we've got brackets. So it's getting more complicated. Let's work through it. Just don't worry if things get more difficult. The math stays the same. So as long as we're doing it step by step, shouldn't cause us too many problems. Let's have a look. So brackets must be dealt with first. So we're going to leave that 5 in place, and we're going to leave the multiplication. And we're just going to deal with what's inside the brackets. And we've got 4 plus 3. So 4 plus 3 is 7. So the brackets are going to go, and we're just going to replace it with the number 7. Now, if we move along, we've still got this minus 7 that we haven't dealt with yet. So we can put that at the end. So all we've done at this first stage is worked out what's inside the brackets and then given that as part of the sum without the brackets. So we did 4 plus 3 is 7, so we can lose the brackets, and then we're left with 5 times 7 minus 7. Okay, let's take it to the next stage. So now we've got a multiplication and a subtraction left to do. But if we look here, multiplication comes before subtraction. So 5 times 7, which is 35. So the multiplication has now been dealt with, and we've still got that subtraction left to do. Finally, 35 minus 7, and 37 minus 7 is 28. Sorry, I'm so used to saying minus, but when I say minus, it's the same word as, same meaning as subtraction. Okay, let's try another one of those. If you feel ready, you could just pause the video and have a go. And we're going to do 17. So we've got 2 times 3 plus 15 divided by 5. Okay, so let's have a look at our list. No brackets, no indices, so we've got a division and we've got a multiplication. And although division comes before multiplication, we can do those. They're the same. One's the opposite of the other, so we can do those in either way. But let's stick to our BIDMAS so we don't get confused. So we're going to deal with the division first. So we have 2 times 3, and then I'm going to be adding to that. But I want to deal with this part. So 15 divided by 5, and there are 3 5s in 15. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. So I'm going to replace that sum with the answer, which is 3. Okay, so we've now dealt with the division. Going to move on. And if I have a look, now I've got a multiplication and an addition to do. The multiplication comes first. So 2 times 3 is 6. And then I need to add on 3. Now down to my last calculation. 6 plus 3 is 9. Okay. Hopefully you're starting to feel okay about these. Don't worry if it's taking time. You just got to keep practicing them until you feel confident. Question 18. We've got 27 divided by 3 plus 35 divided by 5. Okay, so we've got 2 divisions in this and an addition, and the divisions come first. Now, you can do both divisions in one go, but if you're feeling like you want to take it step by step, then you can do one at a time. It's fine. So I might do it both ways just to show you. So first off, I'm going to do it one at a time. I'm going to say 27 divided by 3, and 27 divided by 3 is 9. 3 can go into 27 9 times. And then I'm left with plus 35 divided by 5. Okay, so I've done that sum and replaced it with the answer. Now let's do our next division. So I've got 9, and I've got to add something to that, but I need to work out what the division is. 35 divided by 5. 5 goes into 35 7 times. Okay, and now I'm left with the addition. 9 plus 7 is 16. So that is my answer. I'm just going to show you, I'll do it in a different colour. We could have done both divisions at the same time, but while you're practicing, break it down as much as you need to. It certainly helps. So we had 27 divided by 3 plus 35 divided by 5. So I could have done both my divisions at once. 27 divided by 3 is 9. 35 divided by 5 is 7. And I'm going to add those two together. Okay, you'll notice that I'm putting equals each time. I'm saying that this sum is equal to this sum is equal to this sum is equal to this sum. So each time I'm breaking it down, I'm making it clear that I'm not changing the value. I'm just tackling one bit of the sum at a time.